DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Ron Ruth Presents with tonight's special guest, Jason Spencer. They're talking customer service.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm good, Ron. How about you?
Fine. Welcome
Just
to
fine. You're just fine.
I'm just fine. As John said, welcome to Ron Ruth Presents, another exciting episode. My special guest this evening is Jason Spencer, who is also known as the Profit First Man or Profit Hood. Which way are we going here?
Either one of those works. Profit Hood is my business, Profit Hood Academy, and then Profit First is the organization that certifies me to go out and work with other businesses and implement the system into their
Absolutely. Well, either way, you're extremely knowledgeable when it comes to business, when it comes to finances, when it comes to profit and loss, and when it comes to making money, which is ever so important. And the reason I invited Jason here is because we have so much in common. First off, we're both Disney geeks.
We're both bald,
and both bald. Yeah, that was the other reason why I said, hey, let's have Jason on, so I won't be the only guy with no hair. And actually, I'd be more selective about the people I choose to be on the show with me. So, but we're both Disney geeks, and for me at least, I'm not really sure, Jason. I don't know if this applies to you, but my appreciation for customer experience began with my very first trip to Disney, something like 28 years ago, and that's where I first began to appreciate what customer experience meant. How about you?
Wow, that's. I don't know that I'd say it started with Disney. Mm-hmm. It's certainly one of the shining examples that I would put up there in my top 3 of companies that, do it the right way.
Oh, yeah.
For me, I think when experience really started to come around, it was probably Apple and their relaunch and rebranding in the late 90s. That was probably the first time that experience and how Steve Jobs came back and brought that design in kind of enlightened me a little bit more to what it was. But then again, I was also a young kid back then, so thinking of those lines weren't really on the top of my mind. It was just make money back then, not how do you make the money.
Well, and I've often said, people, Apple is one of those, it's actually a great example of customer experience because people don't stand in line outside of an Apple store for hours and hours on end just to get a phone. I mean, you can get a phone anywhere. What they stand in line for is for the experience of the phone that they buy, all the special little buttons. And I mean, there's a certain what's the word I'm looking for? There's a certain pride that goes into owning an iPhone for people that are Apple. I mean, not everybody's Apple. I understand that. Right. But for those people who are Apple, strictly Apple, there's a certain, it's like a tribe effect. I mean,
absolutely.
Really. I mean, and you do not attack the tribe because you just don't do that because people will defend Steve Jobs and Apple till the end of time. It's just the way it goes. So, but yeah, that I think Apple, if one of the things that we need to look at tonight is how can you transform your customers into that type of loyalty, the type of not just loyal fans, but fans that are going to be raving fans that are going to tell everybody that they meet, and those people are going to want to experience the experience that you provide for themselves. I remember getting my first Apple phone. They drugged me kicking and screaming to get it, but I had enough people say, Apple product is the way to go.
For a minute, I thought you said they drugged you, and that's how they got you in there. But dragging you, either way.
Oh, they drugged me. Yeah. Well, anytime I have a problem with my Windows, my machine, and if I call anybody that owns a Mac, rather than helping me, they always say, buy a Mac.
Right.
So, always helpful advice. So we're going to try to cover 3 different areas tonight of interest, because what we want to try to do is point out some really obvious customer experience delivery processes that major businesses and corporations that you do business with each and every day.
Yep.
We want to show you what they do so that you can actually maybe take some of that and put it into your own into your own business to benefit your bottom line as well. Most of everything that we're going to discuss tonight takes no money. You can do almost all of these things we're going to discuss for little to no investment at all. But the improvement to your bottom line will be vast, and it'll be something that you can enjoy. But it's just a matter of actually having to pull through. So as I was saying, my interest in the customer experience began with Disney, my first visit to Disney. And after that, I read everything I could get my hands on when it came to Disney, and not only Walt Disney, but the Disney philosophy, the guest service delivery process, all of that stuff. And one of the quotes I came across, which I really love this quote, is from the Disney Institute. And it says, customers, clients, and guests compare experiences across businesses. If any company, no matter their business, satisfies their customers better than you will be compared to them in a negative light. And as an example, I consider, and I think even Jason does at times, we consider Disney World, or the Disney theme parks in general, to be our competition, because we know anyone who has ever been there and has gone through that process of not wanting anything, always having somebody there to help you all the time, making a vacation just as easy and as enjoyable as possible.
Yep.
If I do business with someone else that wants to make my life more difficult, I'm comparing them to Disney, and in my mind, I'm thinking, why do you have to make this so hard?
Right. Right. Well, what's even more interesting than that, Ron, is so I was born on the East Coast. I grew up in Atlanta for 17 years, and Disney World in Orlando was the first park I went to. There were only 2 parks at the time, Epcot and Magic Kingdom. So it was early 80s. And then it wasn't until, I moved to California in 95, but it wasn't until about 6-7 years ago that I went to Disneyland for the first time. Right. And even though it had been that far apart, and I'd been to Orlando once or twice in between that as well, even though it had been that far apart, I still compared the 2 Disney parks, which was interesting. I compared Orlando to Anaheim, and they were vastly different in the experiences I received. I still love both parks. I think the rides have their own unique twists in each park. Even though you might have a Pirates in one park, you have Pirates of the Caribbean in the other park, but they're unique in their own little subtle ways. But there were still experience things, from cast members interacting with you to when you're in a restaurant or walking down Main Street or any of those things, you could tell the subtle differences of the two.
Right.
And if I had to pick a favorite, I still go and lean towards Orlando. I still have loves here in California, but Orlando is still the big one for me. So it's amazing to see how you can even put them into their own comparison portals, if you will.
Well, so we don't get anybody thinking that we're only talking about Disney. And also, if you would like to,
wait. We're not just talking about Disney. You lied to me. No.
Well, before we start doing some deep diving, because we're very limited on time. Before we start doing some deep diving into other businesses, if you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and post them on the YouTube page. That's the one I have open up here next to me, so I can take a look at it and answer any questions that may come up as we go along. So we're going to cover 3 areas about staying in touch with your customers, and it doesn't matter. I also want to point out this is not just a DJ thing. This is DJ florists, wedding planners, photographers, videographers, everybody. This is not specific to DJs, but we're going to talk about how important it is to stay in touch with your clientele, with your customers, your guests. We're also going to dive a little bit into the value of having an eye to detail, and then we're also going to wrap it up with a little discussion on flexibility. So let's start with the staying in touch. I was telling Jason, I wrote a story about this not long ago about GoDaddy. I got a call yesterday from GoDaddy, true story, and I get a call from GoDaddy probably every 4 months, maybe 3 to 4 months. And if you're a GoDaddy customer, maybe you've gotten these same calls. The call that I got yesterday was because I had allowed a number of URLs to expire, plus another service or two. And the customer service rep from GoDaddy called me just to make sure that I had really wanted those to expire. It wasn't a pressure thing. It was just, hey, with the holidays, we just want to make sure that this didn't get overlooked. Are you sure you wanted to let these go? And is there, and then after just saying yes, I'm sure. Is there anything we can help you with? Your website looks good, but do you need any help with this or that or the other? And it was no, I'm doing really good. Well, okay, well, we're just checking in on you. And they do that like every 3 or 4 months. Just see how I'm doing. And it's one of those things that I personally know nothing about the World Wide Web, URLs. And every time I've ever had a problem, GoDaddy has always been right there to answer those questions for me. My question is how come in the wedding industry, why are you not reaching out, unless you are, why are you not reaching out every so often to the customers that are booking you a year, maybe 2 years in advance, contacting them every month, every 2 months, just to say, hey, I'm here for you. What can I help you with? Even Absolutely. If it has nothing to do with your area of expertise, how can I help you?
I agree. And I think there's this gauge that you can use if you want to. I don't think you should, but there's a gauge you can use, and that is if the client has contacted you first and asked you what's up, you went too long. And I've had that happen where I will have that wedding that's booked a year or more in advance, and 6 months will go by and I haven't really said anything to them, and then all of a sudden they're ready to start planning. They might still be 6-8 months out, but they're ready to get that ball rolling. And in my mind, I might not be ready for that until 4 or 5 months before the wedding, depending on what all the services are they've booked. And I know that if they had to reach to me first, I missed the mark. And so now I'm actually kind of backpedaling to try and catch up and be like, no, I'm here, really. Because I've been there the whole time. I just got caught up in something else rather than even that simple 2-minute phone call of saying, hey, I just want to know if everything's good, if I can do anything for you right now. If not, I'll be back in touch in another month. And it's even really all it takes.
Yeah, and it's even happened to me at times. I'm not going to lie and tell you I'm perfect, but it's happened to me where somebody contacts me and it's almost, and you want so desperately to go, I was just getting ready to send you an email, and reply, but you go, no, that's probably not a good idea. Just answer whatever question they have, but also make sure that in the course of responding to something like that it's more than just a cursory answer. You're also trying to be helpful. Go ahead and ask the question, what else can I help you with today?
Absolutely.
Are you faced with any challenges today that you might that I might be able to be of service? And if you can't personally help them, maybe you can direct them to other people who can. If they're maybe Maybe you have connections with florists or photographers, videographers, cross connections, so that if they're saying, well, I'm really having a problem finding a photographer, you can say, hey, here's a list of photographers. Let me email you a list of photographers that I really like working with, and maybe contact one of them and see what you think.
Yeah. And if it's an email conversation that's going back and forth, you can take that even a further step. I've done this with a local officiant. Now, I'm ordained, I can do weddings as well, but sometimes, they want maybe a female officiant or something like that. And so when they've reached out to me, I'll reach out to the officiant directly and say, are you available on this date? I have a couple getting married at XYZ, and they say yes or no. And if they say yes, then I go, I've already talked to her. She's available. Reach out to her. She'll be more than happy to take care of you. And more often than not, that's the person they go with, because they've already made that connection. The rapport is building, so they put the trust in the person that you're recommending rather than just going out onto Yelp or Google and finding a name.
Well, and one of my and all of this also helps when the performance day comes, or when the wedding day arrives, that if you've been in communication with the customer and you've been developing a relationship, because really if you don't understand the difference between customer service and customer experience is all about emotion, how you make the customer feel. That's what the customer experience is all about. And if you're developing a relationship and you're communicating with them on a fairly regular basis, just, again, it doesn't have to be a lot, just checking in. Nobody's going to think that you're being a pest by asking, is there anything I can do for you today? Just checking in. Yeah. But the beauty of that is that in the end, on the actual wedding day, if something should happen, you have a relationship built with them. There's not going to be this freak out of, well, somebody actually even saying to you, why didn't you contact me? Why didn't we talk about any of this leading up to this day before now? One of my new favorite stories, and it's a true story. A few weeks ago, I start everything with, this is a true story. It really is a true story. I
think you should start with, this is a fake story. This
is fake news. This is my true story. So I was in a car accident about 6 weeks ago, and my car got totaled. 2005 Honda Element. And I love that car. And I took really good care of it, 180,000 miles. And it wasn't my fault. A lady ran a stoplight while I was making a left-hand turn. I went into the side of her car, and she pretty much destroyed the front end of mine. And her insurance company totaled my car, but they were only going to give me a certain amount of money. And I said, really, that's not enough to buy a new car. So just give me the money, and I'll have the car fixed. And as it turns out, it's going to cost me exactly what they were giving me. But the point of my story is I took it to an authorized Honda body shop here in Blue Springs, Missouri, where I live. And my service guy, his name is Derek, and he calls me at least once, if not twice a week, to let me know how my car is doing.
Yep.
Which I find extremely fascinating, because it's like my car is in the hospital. Mr. Ruth, just want to check in, let you know that your car is doing fine today. We straightened the frame. Tomorrow we're going to do, and it's one of these really cool phone calls where I told my wife, I said it would be so much fun to show up at the dealership someday with a bouquet, a get well bouquet, and say, can I give these to my car? Because this guy is making me feel like that. Now, the last time he called me, my car was supposed to be ready tomorrow. He called me just before Thanksgiving, and went through the whole thing with me on how my car was doing. And then he said, he goes, unfortunately, we've fallen a little bit behind, and your car is going to take a couple more days than what I had originally told you. I'm okay with that. I mean, I've been without a car this long anyway. But the point is he didn't just let me take my car and then call me a few days before it's supposed to be ready and say, your car's not going to be ready.
Right.
We have a relationship. I like Derek. I've already decided I like this guy. I've been trying to talk him into free stuff, but he won't give me any. But again, this all boils down to this is what it's like to have that relationship with people that you do business with.
Yeah.
And it's not just my story. I'm guessing that almost everyone watching right now has a story of a small business that they've done business with, or even a big business that they've done business with, where they feel they have a relationship, When they know when they walk in the door, somebody's going to know them by name.
Right.
Or when they walk through the door, somebody's going to know what it was that they bought the last time, like a Starbucks, what they bought the last time they bought when they were in the store.
Absolutely.
Those are the type of relationships that are extremely important to the customer experience, and to assuring, that your customer is not just going to be happy, they're going to be ecstatic. They're going to feel that their expectations have been exceeded, and they're going to be telling their friends about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. We all definitely have those stories. And I mean, I could go on a handful of them now, but I know we're kind of short on our time. I don't want to get caught in a 20-minute story.
Oh, come on, Jason, if you got a story to tell.
What
you're saying is
story. It's not as good as your car. I'm just saying.
Derek, my car.
Your car. Well, Derek and your car. How's that?
I mean, my wife could be in the hospital. I bet I wouldn't get as many calls from the doctor as I get from Derek on how. Well,
that's because Derek wants to charge you more every time. That's why.
In the end, yeah.
I just want to tell you, your car is now worth an extra $100 today.
So the other, and speaking of, well, no, we won't be. We haven't gotten to that yet. But so the next item we're going to talk to is eye to detail. How important it is. There are so many little things that people that we have a tendency to overlook, not intentionally, but it's mainly because we don't really sit down and stop and think about what is going to be in the best interest of our customer, what is going to make a difference in our customer's life. So there's one of my favorite commercials is the Domino's commercial. Have you seen it, Jason?
The Domino's pizza, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
yeah. Just
I
gotta make sure. I gotta clarify.
Yeah. Well, I just want. So it's the one where there you two great commercials. One of them I think is from last year. It's about you can get a free replacement pizza if for some reason you drop your pizza on the sidewalk or something, and all the cheese sticks to the top of the box. That's one commercial. And then the new commercial, well, not really that new, it's been out for a few months, is where they'll fix the potholes in the street where you live so that you don't hit the pothole and your pizza jumps up.
I'm actually tempted just to call them because I need potholes fixed in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean,
I really have been tempted to call.
But these are great commercials because they're looking at this is an eye to detail that no one would ever use it. But in most customers would look at it as being this is more of a just kind of like a guarantee of sorts. Yeah. For Domino's, this is all about retaining customers. This is about offering something so totally unique and different that no one else is offering. And it's on something that happens probably quite a bit to their customers.
Probably.
Dropping a pizza. I mean, I think it's happened to all of us.
Oh, yeah.
But for the most part, though, no customer that I know of would ever call Domino's and go, hey, I'm going to bring my pizza back and get it replaced. No, most mothers who have families to feed with the kids sitting around the table wanting their pizza are just going to take the fork and scrape off the lid and put it back on the pizza and say, here, eat this.
Actually, you know, Ron, I didn't think about this until just now. I know we had our little pre-show chat about it, but I didn't think about this until just now. And that is when I was probably, 11, 12 years old, somewhere in that age range.
Yeah.
And one of my friends down the street, Friday night was pizza night. His mom and dad, well, usually his mom, his dad worked away a lot, but his mom would be there. She'd order Domino's pizza for us. It'd be delivered to us. And we'd have pizza and salad every Friday night. And I remember one week, my friend, he was about 2 years younger than me, took the pizza and he turned and he held the pizza box the wrong direction and it just flopped open. The whole pizza just fell on the floor. There's dog hair and cat hair everywhere. There was no putting this pizza back in the box. And I'm thinking, all those years ago, if we actually had this deal, this would have been 30 years ago at this point, but if this deal existed back then, I could see her picking up the phone and going, yeah, my idiot son just dropped a pizza on the floor. I need another one now.
Well, and as I said, Domino's is looking at this as a customer retention thing more than any. I mean, and I forget the exact number, but if you can retain something like 5% of your customer base, it's worth like 80% plus improvement to your bottom line. And I don't remember, again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's just this little thing can be a big thing. And so
Right.
My suggestion would be to every business owners, find that thing that you can do that maybe people aren't necessarily going to take advantage of. Maybe they will. Who knows? But the idea here is to come up with an idea of something that no one else is doing, and then offer that as a part. It should be something unique, so it's going to stand out. I mean, you don't see any other pizza company going, Pizza Hut or any of the rest of them. You don't see any of those trying to compete on that level. And you got to admit, what is it? We get probably 25 coupons a week in the mail for different pizza places everywhere. First one I'm going for now is Domino's, because one of these days I'm going to see if they'll really do it, just to find out. Okay, so while we're on the topic of pizza and
Yes.
eye to detail, there was a company called Red Rack, which is a cloud computing company.
Yep.
Who the way the story goes, this is not my story this time. The way this particular story goes, though, is that a Red Rack customer service tech was on the phone with the customer, and they had been on the phone for a really long time, and this call was actually going to last even longer. And at some point during the conversation between the tech and the customer, he overheard the customer, maybe took their hand to the phone or something, and went, and told another employee, said, I'm getting hungry. Well, the tech heard that. And a few minutes later, there was a knock at the door, and the tech said, hey, go ahead, go answer the door. It was a pizza. He had ordered a pizza for the customer to help keep them satiated so they wouldn't get hangry, I guess, in the process of because I mean, like with me, I get frustrated when I have a technical problem and I can't fix it. This was a great way of taking what could turn into a really ugly situation of, are we ever going to get this done, to, oh well, I don't care, I got plenty of time to eat this pizza while you continue working on whatever the situation is. This is another one of those just a little unexpected magic, in a sense, and having an eye to detail, listening to your customers, listening to their wants and needs, and expectations.
Yeah.
I ordered you a pizza too. It's coming. So
good to know. I hope it gets here before I have to go. That's
Have you been to the new store? Have you been to the store Five Below yet?
No, I'm not.
Do you have any in your market? You know what Five Below is?
I've heard of it. I don't know that we have any here.
Okay, so Five Below is like it was made for tweens. It was built for teenagers.
Do I look like a tween to you?
Well, it's beside the point, because here's the cool thing. I love going in there because they have technical gadgets. They got like phone covers and cables, and they have stuff that you can like connect your iPhone to so that it clamps on your desk and you can watch movies. It's like a gooseneck, and I mean, it's got all sorts of fun little stuff in it. My granddaughter, who's 11, she absolutely loves this store, and she uses it to remodel her room all the time. So we're always going in there looking for new ideas. But the cool thing about this particular store, even though it's like 5 steps above Five Below, it's like 5 steps above a dollar store. Okay, it's clean, it's nice, it's well lit. When you walk in the door, one of those places where they welcome to Five Below, they say it as you come through the door. There's always someone available to help you. You can find managers are usually stocking shelves. But here's a really cool thing that I found out in doing some research on this company, was that they actually have an in-house, in-store customer experience manager. That is their sole responsibility, is to come up with ideas that they can implement within their store, and they give back to the community all the time as well. I shouldn't leave that out. But they have an in-house customer experience manager whose sole responsibility is to assure that every guest experience is a wow experience.
Yeah.
and to offer ideas and suggestions and conduct meetings with other employees to come up with other ideas. Isn't that fascinating? I mean,
another company that has that kind of, I learned it a few years back, and I think if we have time before the end, I'll share the whole reason why. But another company that does that is Chick-fil-A, actually.
Really?
Each individual store, they don't own additional stores. You can only own one store at Chick-fil-A to begin with. So they've already tightened it down on that level to make it neighborhood and community based. But each store will have its own customer experience, or sometimes they're labeled as a marketing manager, but it really is a customer experience position.
Right.
And their job is to go above and beyond with every person that walks through that door, and to put together community events that give back, whether that's to military or children, or, I've seen our local one will do mother son and father daughter nights. Actually, they
right.
just, whether it's Mother's Day or Father's Day or whatever, and they just have all these little unique twists that you don't see at a Burger King or a McDonald's or even Wendy's. Those kinds of places. They're just fast food. That's what they do. But you go into the Chick-fil-A and they try to make it more community based, and it is an experience role that they actually hire for. I've got business cards of people that have that title on their business card.
Wow.
But I'll share the full story as to why I know that later if we got time for it.
We got time. Go for it.
No. I'll share it later. No, because I know our third point today, and I think it sums up all three if I get it in right. So.
Okay. All right. Fine. So, but anyway, I think, how cool would it be if every business had somebody on staff that's their sole responsibility is to help see the customer from the customer's point of view. Someone whose sole responsibility is coming up with ideas to assure that every experience is a wow experience, and taking the input of all the people, the people on the front lines, the staff, the owner, the manager, and saying, why don't we try this thing here, this one element? How cool would that be? I think that you'd find that a lot more businesses would be capable of delivering that experience, delivering the experience that they're really capable of delivering. Most, I think that most businesses still today are having hard time reconciling what's the value of the experience. Well, that's the value. If you're making.
Well, let me ask you, Ron. I mean, you're saying someone in the organization is asking other people in the organization. Right. What if I'm just a single operator DJ or florist or something along those lines? I don't have other people in my organization. How do I go?
I would say to sit down with other people within your industry and say, let's do something together. Let's brainstorm together. How
DJ, should I sit with other DJs, or is a DJ, should I call photographers and videographers?
You could do. I know as an example that there's a group of there's ADJA as an example when you talk about DJ. There's actually associations that you could sit down with people within the association if you don't want to sit down with people within your market. But I would hope that you'd have connections of if not just DJs, you'd be able to sit down with florists or videographers or caterers or wedding planners and say, what ideas can we all come up with that are going to make our customers' life easier, our couple's life easier? What can we do to make a true difference in the life of our customers? Because I think, as an example, I think one of the things lacking in the wedding industry is a sense of collaboration. When you have when they produce a movie, when a movie is being written and being produced, you have everyone from costume designers to set decorators to stage managers to sound techs, and they all have to work. The list is endless, but they all have to work in harmony in order to pull off an Academy Award-winning movie. If they don't work in harmony, then this thing is going to go straight to DVD. And what happens at a wedding is that we're like all those different elements of a movie, but we don't talk. We just go in and we just do our thing. And imagine how spectacular a wedding could be if there was more collaboration between all of the different elements that go into where there was a sharing of ideas. What can we do that has never been done at a wedding before that would make this so special? What do we know about the bride and groom that we can take and we can just we can do something with that maybe they have an affinity for, as an example, just pulling it out of my head, but maybe they have an affinity for Disney.
I don't know where you got that idea from. Huh?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, something as simple as, you know what, let's, why don't we do, maybe the photographer has a connection with Disney who can get us a signed autograph photo from Minnie and Mickey congratulating the bride and groom, something that could be presented to the couple. Excellent photo for the photographer. It makes for a memorable moment. I mean, we don't have that because everybody is doing their own thing.
Yeah.
It just, and I know in a way I was thinking as I'm doing this, Ron, you're going off on a tangent. Well, yeah, I am in a way, but this still comes back to, this is an eye to detail. This is working together.
Yeah.
For an eye and having an extreme eye to detail. So let's move on to another one of my stories. So this one is both Disney and Starbucks related. So okay. I was at, this has to do with flexibility. So I'm at Starbucks at Disney World at Magic Kingdom a couple months ago. And for anybody that's ever been to Disney, you may or may not know, you get Magic Bands. So you pay for everything with your Magic Band, and you have a PIN code that you use. Oh, there, it looks like that. And so I'm at the Starbucks. We're waiting for the parade to start. My wife is holding a spot on the sidewalk. It's extremely busy. I think I was in line for like about 30 minutes. Finally get up to the front of the line. I placed my order, and I went to scan my Magic Band, put in my PIN code, and it failed. Okay. So the cast member said, try again. So I tried again, failed. But I tried texting my wife and couldn't get a response from her. And it was just frustrating me to no end. And so I just went, you know what? Never mind. I forget it. So I started to walk away. She said, Ron, she called me Ron because that was the name on my cup. She said, Ron, stop. She goes, your order is still going to go through. Just go ahead and go on down and wait for it. I've got it covered.
Yep.
At Disney World, a Starbucks is like $7, $8, something like that. Yeah. It's even more expensive than it is in the store.
That's why they give you the band, so you don't know how much it really costs till you get back to your room.
Yeah, that's true. But it was kind of funny because I discovered two things. I discovered later that for some reason our bands, my wife's and my bands, weren't in sync together. And hang on a second here. I touched something and I messed everything up. Our bands weren't in sync together. And so we were using different PIN codes. But the point is that she took care of me. And to this day, I will remember this cast member's name forever. Her name was Jasmine. And it was spelled just like jazz, Jazzmine. And I will remember her. I praised
the most Disney thing you can ask for.
Yeah. I mean, but see, that was one of those situations where she could have gone, well, I could lose my job if I do this, I probably, I really need to charge him. So sorry, Instead, she kept the customer happy. She retained a customer. And I think, how often do we get so caught up in our policies and procedures and our contractual agreements that we don't take a moment to say, I could bend a little here, maybe, an extra 15 minutes or 20 minutes as a DJ performance, then going to kill me. An extra flower, maybe a surprise carnation that they didn't ask for, I don't know, maybe the grandmother or something. That's not going to kill me. Just little things that, that you can add to your value added, I guess you could call it value added services, or not.
I don't even know if I would call it that, really. I mean, yes, that's one way of doing it, but I don't even think that's the right, the right angle. I mean, you and I both know, because we're Disney fanatics, that Disney empowers their cast members to do these things. I mean, she has the power to do that because Disney encourages it. I mean, not to the point where they're telling them they have to do it, but they certainly encourage them to do whatever it takes to not have you walk away from that counter with a frown on your face. Right. And if that meant giving you a $7 Frappuccino that cost them 30 cents to make, they're going to do that. And that's where you can do that in your own business. So if you have staff, if you're not a single operator, make sure your staff is empowered and feels empowered to be able to go above and beyond or outside of the normal realm of your business operations.
Yeah, and not have to fear, and not have to fear whatever decision it was that they made on the spot, that I made this decision to the better, to the betterment of the company, not for any other reason. And if you think that's story, but you were talking like $7 or $8. So a couple years ago, my son ordered like $800 worth of stuff from Zappos.
Okay.
And
great shoe company, by the way, in Las Vegas.
Yeah, great shoe company. And order did not come. Just a long story short, order did not come as he had anticipated, and he contacted Zappos, and this was after a couple of days of waiting for it. And the Zappos customer service rep said, Mr. Ruth, we're really sorry. Somehow or another, your order has been misplaced. Now, it's really important. I should preface this story with at checkout. Whenever you check out at Zappos, they surprise you with next day delivery. So it's just something that happens with every customer. And my son has even told me that it's something that he just comes to expect. So anyway, when the order hadn't arrived in a couple of days, they told him, they said, Mr. Ruth, we're really sorry that evidently your order has been misplaced. Tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to make sure your order is completed right now. I'm going to send it to you for free. And my son said, well, I already had free shipping. And the guy said, no. He said, I'm actually sending your entire order. It was $800 worth of shoes and a bathrobe. I'm actually going to send you your entire order for free. If there's something that you don't like, it doesn't fit, just go ahead and donate it to a local charity. Yeah. Now, my son had ordered, I don't know how many shoes he had ordered, but Zappos has a real liberal, easy for me to say. They have a real liberal return policy. So he knew that, he could return all this stuff.
Yeah, you got a year to return something.
Borrowed money. Yeah, it was borrowed money. Yeah. So, but still, they went ahead, and the next day he got $800 worth of merchandise in the mail, and he did wind up donating some of it to local charities. But here's the thing, there again, you're talking the difference between an $8 Starbucks, that's one thing. But to give somebody the empowerment for an $800, and I forget, I did the research, and I want to say, trying to be really cautious, I want to say it's up to like $1,500. That's how much power a Zappos customer service rep. I may be off a little bit, so don't anybody hold me to that. It won't be on the quiz, I promise. It might, I don't know. But that's how badly Zappos wants to keep a customer. And here's the thing. My son told me the story. He told all of his friends the story. I'm telling you the story. And now this story is going out on YouTube. Who knows how many people are going to hear the story? And who knows if somebody might decide to go buy shoes from Zappos just because of that story.
Well, they're definitely going to check it out. If they've never used Zappos or haven't used it in a long time, it's going to be a top of mind thing for them. So absolutely.
Right. So we're running a little short on time. I want to just real quick before we go, I want to tell everyone, if you have an opportunity, if you really want to see some really cool customer experience stories, it told, and they'll just tug at your heart, and they are such great stories. Go on YouTube and search out WestJet Christmas. WestJet, the airlines, WestJet Christmas. There is a ton, and I posted another one on my personal Facebook page today. There are a ton of stories that of things that they have done to exceed the expectations of their customers. And I would encourage you to go take a look at it. We'll tug at your heartstrings. It may even give you some ideas of ways that you can improve the customer experience that you deliver. You had a story. We have time for your story?
Probably not at this point. Probably not, but I'll shift and pivot to a different story. Actually,
I think let's do that.
We started talking about Apple and their experience, and one of the things that I first picked up on in that whole world of everything, and it kind of goes back to marketing. Actually, there was a commercial probably 6 or 7 years ago now at this point when they came out with the first iPad, and I don't know if you remember, that was kind of what I believe was their true crowning moment, probably for about 3 or 4 years of commercials, particularly holiday commercials. I don't know why holidays with WestJet and Apple seem to fall in line there, but one of my absolute all-time favorite ads from Apple had to do with when that first iPad came out, and they came out with FaceTime. and nobody was I mean, there was Skype and some other things, but nobody had on their phone or on their iPad the ability to do that two-way live communication with someone.
Right.
And it was so simple that your grandma can do it, your son or daughter can do it, and it feels like you're right there in the room. And Apple told that story in a 60-second commercial that not once mentioned the name of a product, it not once mentioned FaceTime, it not once mentioned iPad, Apple, anything else. It was seriously just this video story of a little girl calling her grandmother at Christmas. And they had a conversation, and you saw the iPad and you saw the iPhone, and at the end it was the Apple logo and it was done. Well, they weren't selling you the iPad. They were selling you that experience. And that, I think, is kind of the summary of some of what we're talking about today is how can you sell that experience and deliver it at the same time?
Well, and just to tag on to that, Disney, when you watch a Disney commercial, they never, ever tell you about the rides and the shows and the parades and all that. All you see are faces of people mainly families having a great time. That's all it is. And especially little children. Oh, little children. Because we all know that when you go to Disney World, you can run right up to Mickey and give them a hug. I mean, that's going to happen each and every time you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
After you've been in line for a while. So, real quick, if you have questions anytime after you've viewed this video, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can reach me to Disc Jockey News. It's Ron Ruth at discjockeynews.com. Also, I do consulting for customer experience, and I would be happy to arrange a complimentary customer experience consultation or evaluation, if you will, for your business. Just go to my website, ronruth.com, and just follow the links for that from there. And feel free to reach out to me anytime. And that offer, it will be good for quite some time. And I can't tell you, Jason, thank you so much for being my guest tonight. It was a lot of fun. I love having you on the show.
Absolutely, Ron.
One of these days, we're going to have to make it a point to go to Disneyland and Disney World and invite all the DJs in the world to come join us.
They won't hang out with us.
Well,
we'll be too geeky and nerdy at Disney. They won't hang out with us.
As long as they don't get in front of us in line, we don't care. So,
but you and I will be like, remember when they planted this tree in 1971? And people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? You weren't even alive in 71, Jason. How do you know these things? Because I read up on it, and Ron told me.
And with that said, thank you so much again to everyone. Happy holidays, you all, and I will see you see you soon, next month sometime. Well, I'll let you know when. Bye.